Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Storytime. And you know what? This time I'm here. I'm so excited because I am talking to somebody that I have, a relationship with. Somebody I know. Somebody I have some years under the belt knowing. In the industry locally in my community. So it's always good when you have someone that you have built a relationship with, and it's a little bit different than speaking to someone that you've never met before. Welcome to Storytime. If you've never been to Storytime, this is where people connect. This is where we come in and we allow you to just really get exposure. We allow you to tell your story. And this is where people connect. They connect, and we want to know where you're connecting it from. So if you're watching us now, let us know where you're coming from, or if you come back and do the replay. But we have Mr. Jerry Smith, a 37-year veteran in the room right now. Jerry Smith, how you doing today?
I am doing excellent. And Crystal, thank you for the opportunity to be with you on Storytime to tell my story. And what a story it is. But I've known you for decades. When I first came to Raleigh back in 92, you were one of the people that I first met. Can you believe 30 years I've been in this community, serving this community? And the thing that I remember most about you is that you are an entrepreneur. You're an outside the box thinker. And just like me, you have a heart for community. So it's an honor to be with you 30 plus or 20 plus
Wow.
years later. What?
Yeah, and
Do this.
yeah, so Radio One, 97.5. I mean, back then, those were the days. I had a partner back then when I met you, Gary Fawcett, and he passed away about 5 or 6 years ago. But it was a joy because, I just want to thank you for everything you did, because back then we were in the entertainment industry strong. We were out there with Sony Records. We were doing things with the artists. And you guys were doing the Fan Fest, and you were doing all those events out. And we would call you up and say, hey, we got a group, and y'all would let us bring them. And, we would provide entertainment. That was a beautiful thing. And we miss those days because those are the good old days, those outside concerts and everything.
Yeah.
So
You know,
we thank you for that.
oh, you're
So
welcome. I'm sorry. I was going to say that those were some of the best times of my radio career. I've been doing it now for 38 years. August marked my 38th anniversary. And you and Gary, I remember very well. And radio was just so much fun back in the early 90s and mid 90s. And then it kind of got corporate, become corporate, and you had to get permission from the legal department, just to do stuff out in the community to be a blessing. But I can understand that because companies wanted to make sure that they were protected, they were safe, and so on and so forth. But just the early 90s to mid 90s, radio was so much fun back then.
it was. And Jerry, I would love to know, was this always a dream of yours? I mean, tell us about the little boy, Jerry. When you were growing up, did you see yourself working in TV and radio? Was this the dream job for you, or was this just something that happened later on after you went to school? Tell us about the little boy, Jerry, how you grew up, where you grew up, and a little bit about your background.
I love to share that story. And I share that story with a lot of young men and women to let them know that whatever God puts on your heart, it's already done and God's waiting on you. Don't wait on God because He's got this whole planet, this whole universe that He's working with second by second. But when I was 12 years old, well, let me back up a little more. I'm from High Ridge Gardens in Danbury, Connecticut. That's right on the New York State borderline, less than an hour from New York City, 30 minutes from White Plains, the Yonkers, Mount Vernon, New York, really close to the Bronx, New York. Humble beginnings as a little boy. And my father passed when I was 9 years old. So my mom raised four boys all by herself. Um, and when I was 12 years old, and this is the part that I love to share with young men and women, God put radio in my heart at 12 years old.
Wow.
And I knew, Crystal, at 12 years old that I was going to do radio. It was never a question. Just like I'm holding this phone right here in my hand, I knew I was going to do radio. But there were people, my friends, and some relatives even, that said I would never do it, that I would never do radio. I didn't know anybody, and who's going to, hire me? How can I get on the radio? And I used to listen to Frankie Crocker on WBLS in New York, the chief rocker.
Oh man, there I go, there I go, there I go, there I
There I
go.
go. Pretty little baby, you are the one who's. I forgot the words, but yeah.
Yes, yes.
And I just wanted to be like Frankie Crocker. He was the guy that I looked up to. And 7 years later, 19 years old, I am a DJ on my college radio station. I was DJ Hollywood, never been to Hollywood in all my life. And I used to, my little thing was DJ Hollywood.
Okay.
It's DJ Hollywood on your radio. And I used to do the 12 to 3 a.m. Shift. And from there, it was just the rest is history.
Wow.
There for about a year and a half. And in 1984 is when I started my professional career on a little gospel radio station in Greenville, North Carolina, called WBZQ, under the tutelage of Mr. Jim McManus. And he was going to fire me after 2 weeks because I was breaking the format. I was supposed to play country gospel. I was supposed to play it sounded like Gothic type of praise and worship, Black gospel, and contemporary Christian music. And I only wanted to play the Black and the contemporary Christian. So I would play the music, and 2 weeks later, he called me in his office and he said, "So how long have you been in radio?" And I said, 2 weeks. And he said, "So you know more in 2 weeks than I do in 25 years." And I knew exactly where he was going because they trained me on what to do. And he said, "Well, you have two choices. You can operate the format like we trained you to be, a professional broadcaster, or after this meeting, you can go home and we'll just part ways." And I said, I'll do it the way you trained me, sir. I had no bass in my voice, Crystal. And he said, "We hired you to be a professional broadcaster. When you're on the air, we're completely different. We're not what we sell our advertisers. We're not what we sell to our listeners. We're something completely different, and we don't like what you do." And so he just taught me how to execute a format, how to be a professional broadcaster from the very beginning. And I never strayed away from that.
Wow, that's amazing. And over those years, you know, when you said WBLS, that just brought back memories. I never really realized you were from the New York area, Jerry. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Tri-state
That's
area.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So over those years, you met some amazing people in radio. Being in radio, it's great to hear that you actually made your dream come true. So was education a big part? Did you take radio and broadcasting in college? Did you go to school for it?
I At that time, Crystal, you had to take a test to get your FCC license to be able to broadcast. So we did take classes while I was at Central Connecticut State University, that's in New Britain, Connecticut. And then right when we were going to go to take the test, you could either go to New York City to take the test or Boston, Massachusetts. And they did away with you having to actually take a test. All you had to do was apply, and they would send you a little card, look like a social security card, for your license. But I elected to go to New York and take the test. But after that, I left college early to help my mom. My mom, as I mentioned, was raising four boys by herself. I had left to go to college on a soccer scholarship, and when I graduated high school, she moved the family to North Carolina, hoping to keep my younger brothers out of trouble. There were three boys that went to North Carolina with her, and one of them stayed out of trouble, and the other two didn't, unfortunately. So, um, I ended up coming to North Carolina to help her. Nobody would hire me. because
Really?
all my credentials and work experience was from up north. And I moved to Greenville, and nobody wanted to hire this Yankee. You talk about racial discrimination over the
Wow.
phone. I called some people up about some positions that were open when I was in college. I worked in the camera and records and small appliance department. And I'll never forget, it was Kmart who had an opening in their camera department. And I was like, wow, this is perfect. This is perfect. I'm moving to North Carolina to help my family financially. That's what I'm doing now. And I can just transition right into it. And so when they were talking to me over the phone, it was like I had the job. And when I went for the interview and I had my suit, my tie on, and I knew all the cameras, the Nikons, the Canons, the Kodaks, Konicas, Pentax, you name it. I knew everything about all the cameras. And it was a Caucasian lady, and she looked shocked to see me. And I don't think she thought I was black.
Wow.
And she flat out told me, well, we're looking to hire somebody that's local. I said, well, I am local now. I just moved here from Connecticut to help my family out. And she basically, in so many words, said, we're not going to hire you because you're black. You know.
Mm, 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 mm.
So I bounced back and forth to Connecticut because I never had a problem getting a job, and but I wanted to be closer to my family to help out. So when I would go back to Connecticut, I'd send money down to help pay the bills and stuff like that. And I come back to North Carolina, and still nobody would hire me. And then finally, my mom actually helped me to get my radio job. My mother,
Wow.
my late mom, was a preacher, and she had a 15 or 30-minute live preaching show on WBZQ, Dickinson Avenue, Greenville, North Carolina. And she overheard the general manager, Mr. McManus, say that he needed some part-time help for the station. And she said, well, my son did college radio playing the blues. She didn't say hip hop, R&B, or disco. She said the blues.
Hmm.
And he said, well, send him down. And I went and met with Mr. McManus, and he hired me part-time, and eventually it turned into full-time. And then he kicked me out. He said, you've outgrown us. We're only paying you minimum wage, which was like $2 and some change. And he
Wow.
said, you're going to do very well as a broadcaster. He never said DJ. He said, as a professional broadcaster. And we want to encourage you to leave the nest here and go on out there and earn, what you deserve and have a great career. I thought they were just trying to get rid of me. I was like, is he is he trying to get rid of me? Because I didn't see any of what he saw in me, but everything he spoke at that time into my life definitely came into fruition. Um,
Wow. Now, Jerry, so you said something powerful. It is important what people speak into our lives. And so when we have someone that says something and believes in us, it just goes a long way. And sometimes people don't have that, So with the experiences that you had, the negative and the positive, what would you tell somebody now that wanted to go into the radio industry with what we have out here now and the difference, in radio from back then? What would you tell them if they were trying to go into the radio industry and they were kind of green behind the ears now? What would you tell them knowing what you went through?
I would tell them whatever God put in your heart, it's already done. I know I mentioned that earlier, but truly, when people told me that I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that, I didn't understand it. But I realized as I got older, God didn't give them that. And I've been guilty of that too. Some people say, I'm going to be this or I'm going to be that. And I'm like, you can't do that. That's because God didn't give it to us. He didn't give us that vision. He didn't give us that desire. Um, but today, radio has changed a lot in terms of that medium. There's so many things competing with radio now. It's easier to have a TV show. Crystal, you've got your own show on social media. The playing field has been leveled. There's TikTok, Facebook Live, YouTube channel. I know a lot of people who have been discovered via YouTube. I've got my own internet radio station, Favor 97.3. So, even though I'm not on terrestrial radio, I'm still on internet radio that goes all over the world. And the cool thing about internet radio, Crystal, is that people can listen to it on their smart speakers, their tablets, their phones, in their car, if your car is a connected car. So if you have that desire, all you have to do is get the training. You could reach out to somebody like me that would love to coach you in doing it, but it's not that difficult. If it's something you want to do, I believe you can do it.
It's the way of the world now. And a lot of people don't understand it. People probably wonder, why is everybody on all these different platforms? But this is where we are. So people don't understand the advertising has shifted to that too. It used to be where you get ad in the paper, you get the magazine ad. Can you talk about that? Because you are someone who has seen the evolution of that. Could you tell people now, if they were going to do advertising or promoting or marketing, how important it is to include the internet in that phase?
For sure. Right now, everybody that advertises on a terrestrial radio station, that means with a tower antenna that goes into your car radio or your transistor radio, um, they have some sort of digital advertising campaign. Crystal, I remember when the dot coms came out, and
Yes,
I might be
yes.
telling my age right now. At first, everybody, they're like, what is this? A million hits? You know what I mean? It turned out it wasn't a million hits, but in the beginning, people were really skeptical. Then they were all in, and now they're like really all in. You can't, even on my radio station that I have, I do regular commercials, and a part of that campaign is the digital side as well. And that's the way of the world. Advertisers feel like that they get a good return on their investment with those digital ads, or even that 15 seconds or a few seconds on YouTube. They're what they call it is impressions. How
Right.
people really see it, as opposed to how many commercials you're running. So from one commercial, they can get like hundreds, if not thousands, of impressions. Whereas if it's heard on radio, within what they call it is an average quarter hour, like from the top of the hour to 15, after 15 to 30. I know I'm getting a little technical. 30 to 45, 45 back to the top of the hour. Those are called average quarter hours. And you might get 5,000 people at an average quarter hour, 10,000, depending on how good your station is. But you can get thousands of impressions, for very little cost on digital. And that's why now you see so many ads on social media with IG, Facebook, and so many others, YouTube.
LinkedIn everywhere. And I want
Yeah,
to thank you all for watching from all those platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, uh, IG, because this will go to IG, YouTube. And even magazines have gone digital. Even
yeah,
magazines have gone digital. Like a lot of magazines, you can't get a hard copy anymore
yeah.
because they cut the cost back and they're going digital. Very few of them will still get you a print, or you may have to order them to get that print. So let me ask you something. Does a person who wants to go on radio, do they have to be a talkative person, like to talk to people? Because some people say, well, you know what, I don't want to do that. Like he told you were going to be a broadcaster. You were thinking of being a DJ.
Hmm.
So what would you say to someone if they were looking in the industry and they weren't really sure whether they wanted to be a DJ or a broadcaster, and they were going to go to school? Do they need to take up now, because they have classes now? What would they take up in school now?
It's You just have to have the gift of gab. Of course, You have to have a really good personality. But it's not that difficult. You know, I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and the Connecticut School of
Okay.
Broadcasting is almost like Juilliard, where you have to audition to get into the school. It's changed. The model has changed now, where they focus more on podcasting, TikTok, television. But when I went, you had to literally audition to get into this.
Wow.
So they would give you a 60-second commercial, and you
Mm-hmm.
had to read it live, and they would give you script for a newscast, and they sat you in this little mini studio, and it had the nice city skyline behind you. You like you're on ABC News or CNN, something like that, and you had to read the news. And what they were doing was they wanted to have students that really had a legitimate shot at getting a job as a DJ or a television news anchor. And it was all hands on. It was no books. We had to do commercials every day. We had to go through the formatics of what they call front selling a song. You know, hey, this is Jerry Smith. Here's the new one from Kirk Franklin on Favor 97.3. That's front selling. And then the back selling, hey, that's Kirk Franklin's latest. That's Kingdom with Maverick City on Favor 97.3. I'm Jerry Smith. Coming up, I got the new one from CeCe Winans, Hezekiah Walker, and more right after this.
So they
So,
got to be able to communicate effectively.
right. So they would listen to you, how well you articulated, your personality, and that's what got you in the school. And if you have the gift of gab and just warm and fuzzy and bubbly, you can do it. You Matter of fact, people that and I always tell people this: go to a small radio station, AM station. Don't worry about the music. If it plays country music, gospel music, R&B, you just want to get your hands on the equipment. You want to learn how to execute a format. That'll get you 6 months of doing that will get you a job quicker than somebody who went to a 4-year college, graduated in 4 years, and has literally no experience because radio wants people that know how to just sit in that seat and do it, how to produce commercials, how to use the equipment. Um, you could get a job quicker that way than 4 years of college. So,
Wow.
anybody watching or listening right now, I just encourage you to just jump right in. We make it look easier than it is and like it's spontaneous, but it's really planned. It's
Oh,
all thought
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. Some of it has to be planned. It has to be programmed and
Right.
all that stuff. So if you haven't figured it out by now, Jerry also has launched JAS Consulting and Entertainment Companies. He's taken all that experience he has and he formed them back in May of 2020. And he is the founder and the CEO. And like he said, contact him and he'll help you. And Jerry, just for the moment, let's throw a plug in there right now. How can they reach you if somebody wanted to do that, if they wanted to contact you for some consulting?
Okay. My phone number is, well, let me back up. My website is really simple. Jerry Smith 03. I'm the third, and that stands for the Father, Son, and the precious Holy Ghost.
Yes.
JerrySmith03.com. And it lists all the services that my company provides. My phone number is 919-395-4905. That number is on the website along with my email address as well. And I would love to help you. Crystal, there have been about, gosh, 4 or 5 people, if not more, that had zero radio experience that I took under my wing and taught them, and they all got jobs. One of them is a gazillionaire who,
Wow.
and he's a CEO of a chain of Verizon wireless
Wow.
franchises down on the East Coast. And he was one of my first students. And he did radio for a little while. He was more of an engineer type
Yes.
of guy. He went to
Hmm.
NC State, did engineering for iHeart stations, And then he's like, I don't really want to do this. He was more of an entrepreneur. And then he launched a bunch of Verizon stores and came up with a real good idea. And he's a multi-millionaire. And when
And
I,
that's okay. It's a good idea, y'all. If you're a visionary, go with it. Don't be afraid. But you do sometimes have to get someone who has the leadership ability and the experience. This man right here has been a recipient of many awards. I mean, that included the Drummer Award for Program Director of the Year by Bree Magazine, Gospel Truth Magazine, National Gospel Program Director of the Year, NAB Macaroni Award for Religious Station of the Year, co-winner Radio and Records Gospel Program Director of the Year, to name a few. And I know just recently in 2021, he was awarded the President's Lifetime Achievement Award by President Joseph Biden Jr. So come on, y'all. Who else do you need to be listening to? This man has been recognized, and now he has started his digital radio station, which he named after his mother. And I think that is so precious. That is just really so precious. Let me ask you something. Who was your favorite radio person then, back then, and who is it now? I mean, because we have all those out here doing the. Who do you like to listen to when you're listening to other radios?
that's a tough one. Frankie Crocker when I first started, Von Harper when I first started.
Oh yeah.
My cousin worked at a federal prison, my closest cousin, and somehow he ran into Von Harper somewhere, and he told him that I was in radio and early in my career, and he got me a Von Harper autograph. That was so cool. Gosh, who do I really like? I would say I like Willie Moore Jr.,
I
Eric
like you.
Campbell. Those are national program directors. I like Mita Washington, who's on Sirius XM. Um, gosh,
Willie Moore Jr. He had that good song that he had. He had somebody make that intro. You
yeah,
know, that's important because it makes him stand out. That's what came. I started singing a song in my head when you said his name. So
yeah.
that's important. Now, Jerry, let me ask you this: since people have podcasts now, can you help people with podcasts too? I mean, is that an area that you advise as well?
To me, Crystal, a podcast is like what we're doing right now, um, just doing interviews. What I'm doing, and I found out that all alumni of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, which has a new name now, Connecticut Media and something, can go back to the school for little of nothing, if not free. They
Wow.
have a podcasting class. So I've been doing interviews all my life, but I don't know how to monetize it. I don't know what makes it appealing and how why people would subscribe and why people would pay to hear your content. So I'm trying to learn that part myself. But in terms of executing a interview, I definitely can do that. But I definitely want to learn that from a professional standpoint so that I can share that information.
Yeah,
And
well, that's good. Well, thank you. See, it's always good that a person can tell you what they can and cannot do. So that means say no. If you know you can't do it, then send them somewhere else. So,
Crystal,
Jerry, now when people come to the radio,
let me say this because that's important. I learned a long time ago never to act like you know more than you know. Because if you are called to execute it and you really don't know it, but you let people on to believe it, you're going to be in deep, deep doo doo. And I've seen some who have done that only to fire themselves or to be released because they led people on to thinking that they knew this stuff. So I will humble myself in a heartbeat. There's nothing I can't learn, but I never act like I know more than I know. But I just wanted to share that.
yes. Now, Jerry, so you've met so many artists, man, so many artists over the years coming through to the station. Who would you say has been like maybe the top three that have really left an impact with you over interviewing them, meeting them, being in their presence? Who has really left an impact on you from the industry?
Wow. You know, that's a great question because at some point when you meet so many of them, it just becomes like routine. Um, I've met Tyler Perry. I've been blessed to be invited to his home. He had a movie called Temptation. He had
Mm-hmm.
a sneak preview, and I was invited to go to the preview and his home. Why is her name escaping me? Don't laugh at me. Kanye West's uh, wife.
Okay.
What what's her name again? The
You're not talking about that wasn't Kardashian, was it?
Kanye West. What was his,
Well, he wasn't married to Kim Kardashian. Who was he married
yeah,
to?
the Kardashian. That's it. She was actually at this event as well. Um, gosh, who else? I've met everybody. Dietrich Haddon is someone I really admire. I just talked to him last week. Kirk Franklin.
So
Um,
you built relationship with these people. So when you get in the industry, would you say that it is important for someone? You said something earlier. You said have a personality, but you also have to have that personality that people would want to make a relationship with you, so that even afterward they'll still want to be, engaged with you. Because if you're not that professional and you don't carry out the things like you need to when you're in the industry, then people don't want to deal with you. Is that correct?
oh, that's correct. I've met, gosh, hundreds, if not thousands, of people, but the ones that exchange phone numbers and will call up. I mean, once in a while, I'll just get a call from an artist just saying, "Hey, man, was thinking about you. How you doing? What's going on?" And that's really cool. Or when you can call somebody that's a big time celebrity, and they answer the phone. I was in Greensboro doing this EOG type of tour, and I was talking to the kids about the importance of education. And they were like, yeah, whatever. You're just like all the other teachers. And I mentioned Kirk Franklin's name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen. And I shared my story about coming from the projects and how I was 12 years old and God put radio in my heart. And they were like, and I said to them, and I've got celebrities' phone numbers and they have mine. And they were like, yeah, whatever. And this one kid said, well, call Kirk Franklin, right?
They
I'll
called
never
you bluff.
forget.
Wow, they
He
called you bluff.
called me out. He called.
Wow.
So I picked up my phone. I called Kirk Franklin.
And did he answer?
He answered. And I said, "Hey, Kirk Franklin, I forgot the name of the school, but it was in Goldsboro." I said, "I'm at Goldsboro, trying to encourage the kids to do well on their EOGs and to do well in life. Do you mind just having a few words?" And so I stuck the microphone, to the phone, and he's put it on speaker, and he said, "Hey, everybody, education is key." And he went on for a few minutes, and they were all like shocked. They were like, "Oh, that's
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
ah!"
Yes. Yes. It. Wow. That's people don't understand. It is a blessing to be in contact with people. A lot of them, they just you know they're human beings, but it is great when you have those encounters with them. I remember when Shaba Ranks came here. We had Shaba came for something, and we took him and we did a celebrity basketball game. I'm trying to remember that I have you a part of it. We had a celebrity game over there in Chavis, and afterwards, afterwards, Shaba literally went to the projects, and he started walking and talking to people on their stoops and stuff. That was amazing. They are human beings, and he was engaging with the people. It made me think about the '69 boys when we used to take them to the schools and we took them to Enlow, and they were in the classroom and kicking it with the kids. They love stuff like that. So these people are human beings. They really are human beings, which leads me to my next question to you. What artists that may be watching this, people who are trying to get the interviews, any advice to tell them on what they need to do when they call the radio station and they would like to get an interview, or they would like to get their song played, or they would like to come through and do a meet and greet on their approach, or what they need to bring, or just what they need to do to make that happen, especially if they're not streamlined yet?
Mhm. Yeah, in the beginning, it's really, really tough. You need somebody like me that represents artists. A part of my company is called Radio Promotions, and that's where I help artists to get national airplay and try to get them on the Billboard gospel chart. Right now, I have two clients by God's grace that are in the top 30. But starting out, the way radio works is it's designed to seem like it's spontaneous, but it's really really programmed, and it's very intentional. Most radio stations aren't interested in independent artist that is not known, because people will tune out, believe it or not. But if it's a strong brand, a Kirk Franklin, Hezekiah Walker, Erica Campbell, Tasha Cobbs Leonard, Jacqueline Carr, Byron Cage, so on and so forth, people are more apt to stick and stay and listen to the interview. So I always encourage independent artists to hire a radio promotions person, because that's where they have the best shot because of the relationship. I might be able to get you an interview with a radio station easier than for yourself. But if you are going to do it for yourself, just call them, let them know who you are, send the music to them, find out what days they take their music calls, and just continually call and ask about your music. The other thing I encourage people to do is to ask if they have any event, a community event. I used to do Unity in the Community Day.
Yes.
That's an opportunity, Crystal, for people that are trying to build their brand, grow their name, to get exposure and an opportunity. There have been some people that I wasn't playing on the radio, but I saw their performance and how the community reacted to them. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, okay. And play them. So that's a really good opportunity. But just like, back in the day, I don't know if you remember this Christmas, Crystal, when like stores like Walmart would
Mm-hmm.
do these live performances in
Yes.
the store.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't just take anybody. There's a lot of people that could sing. They were really intentional on the artists that they allowed to sing in the store. And that's kind of how radio is. It's very intentional. We make it sound spontaneous, but it's really coordinated. And you want to hold listeners for as long as you can. And most people that are not recognized or unfamiliar, that's the word, people will just by habit tune out. Well, who's Jerry Smith? I don't know him. But if it's a Kirk Franklin, oh, let me stick around and hear what Kirk got to say. So that's how it is with radio.
So that's really good. So it's not to be discouraged, but it just means that you just have to make sure you build you a team and you have somebody that can help you to get in those doors that you just can't walk in by yourself until you get to that point. But if you do attempt to walk in, do your research about the station, do your research and go in there presentable and talk like you have some sense. Today, Jerry, everything, they got the ebonics and they have this image. And would you also say that they need to be careful about their image, like their social media image? Do
Oh,
y'all look at that at all?
yes, 100%. You can't be half naked on IG or very promiscuous poses and stuff like that. That stuff will come back to haunt you, man. I know some advertisers, when I was with Radio One, it was a DJ on K97.5. At the time, I was on the light, and she had some really risque poses, and some advertisers did not like that she was doing some endorsements with, and they backed off of their endorsement. Some of them even pulled the advertisement. um, the company tried to get her to scale back, but she was like, this is me, this is my brand, and this is what gets me all the friends, likes, views. And
And she didn't back away. She didn't want to change it. She didn't stop. She didn't take it down. She was ready to deal with whatever she get, she get. But that was her.
yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Because in other words, there's some people who maybe they confident in who they are and they don't care. Maybe she was young, and maybe later on, just like people get those tattoos, you get some stuff, you do some stuff when you're young
Yeah.
that you can't take back, and then you do some stuff that you might be able to bounce back from. So would you say that that was a good move on her part, or what would you say if that was your client? What would you have told your client?
Oof. I probably would have asked her to tone it down, still be who you are, but your brand don't at some gosh, at some point you're not going to be this cute, sexy thing.
But they
So
say sex sells, Jerry. They say sex
I
sells.
know that's the point, And when I was young, I didn't I didn't understand that phrase. You better use it before you lose it.
Wow.
I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, I lost it. I used to have a nice six pack. I used to be buffalicious. I was an amateur boxer back in the day, so I used to train a lot, and I was really cut. Um, but you know, that's a hard one for me to say. My brand is not this really hard, rough guy. My brand is a softer um, image, nice guy image, and it's opened doors for me. It's allowed me to be successful, but that's the choice that I made to fit my personality. I've had people that wanted me to be tougher, rougher, harder on
Yes.
people, and I'm like, I've been treated rough. I don't want to treat people that way. I don't want to manage by intimidation and holding people's job over their heads. I mean, I've had that happen to me. That's a terrible feeling. I'd rather kill them with kindness
Right.
and try to help them grow, because I've had that side too, where people sold into me, helped me grow, and pushed me out of the nest. And I mentioned that with Mr. McManus, and I've had a lot of examples of that in my career, and it worked out well for me.
Well, you know what? So that goes back to what you said about doing research, right? Because if somebody's going to a station, they need to know that that station is going to be looking for that your music. Like, don't go somewhere like if you're a country artist, go somewhere where you know they want country music, because otherwise you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for rejection. So that's a part of you doing your research. Now the other thing, when they finally get their foot in the door, any do's or don'ts you would tell someone on how to do the interview or how to prepare for that interview.
Mm. I would always say to make sure you have the who, what, where, when, and why. What's the reason for the interview? You got a big song that blew up. It's touching a lot of lives. Anytime that they do give you that precious airtime, there's a specific reason. And most of the time, that reason is honestly to benefit the radio station,
Mm,
but
wow.
it's a win-win though. They're giving you that airtime. Realize that every second of the day there's a value on airtime. That's what radio
Yes.
station is. They sell air. It's
Yes.
30 seconds, 15 seconds, 3 seconds, 60 seconds. If it's block programming, 30 an hour, 30 minutes or an hour, every second is precious. So when they bring you on to interview you about your music or to tell your story, they're giving you a value, but they're hoping to get a return on that value by having people listen to the radio station to hear your compelling story. So just know who you're talking to, know the subject matter, know in advance what the interview is all about. Be prepared. I even tell people to look in the mirror, even though it's now we're doing interviews like we're doing right now where it's video. But if it's a phone interview, just practice, rehearsal, think about some of the questions that they may ask you. Same thing for a video review, interview. Look at yourself in the mirror, how you're coming across. Um, uh, in that mirror is going to be how you come across on that video.
Yeah, that's really good. So Jerry, what next? What next for you? You have the radio station. I don't know if you missed, you said you enjoyed those outdoor concerts and stuff. Do you look forward to doing that with your radio station and having something like another unity and community and things like that with your station since it's internet radio?
For sure. I'm definitely going to do it. The pandemic has really messed up a portion of my company, the entertainment portion. I had a comedy show series lined up, and I just don't want to do it with the threat of it turning into a super spreader event. But
Right.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to definitely go back to doing some sort of outdoor concert music festival. People ask me that all the time. I want to do something for women. I want to have like a women workshop. I want to do something for men, a men's workshop, and then I want to do something for the youth. If God can do what He's done for me in my life, I know that there's some other young kids who come from humble beginnings that want to be doctors, lawyers, preachers, teachers, astronauts, scientists. You know, they can do it. If God put it in their heart, I truly believe it's already done. And when I
Yeah.
look back over my life, Crystal, that, I did honestly, when I 12 years old, I just loved the thought of being on the airways. And plus I knew girls like DJ. So I was like,
Oh,
maybe the girls are like because I was
that's
a
right.
shy guy, you know what I mean? Um, and then I didn't know that it was going to flip and God was going to get the glory out of my life.
Right.
I was on the phone last night with some people, a national recording artist and her husband from London, England, the UK. And they're thinking about using my company to help them to get airplay here in the United States of America. So, where do I see myself going? I see myself continuing to grow. I see myself being a worldwide brand. Right
Yeah.
now, people, everybody in the United States that's in the gospel industry pretty much knows Jerry Smith.
They do. I was about to say you already a household name. Let me just tell you that, Jerry. He's being humble. He's being real humble right now. People know who Jerry Smith is in the radio industry. I just want to say that.
And even in the UK, when I was talking to the couple and the husband, he was like, Jerry, we know all about you. You're such a humble man. We're just honored to be on the phone with you, talking business and what, you may be able to do to help my wife. And I'm just like, I'm blown away because I don't
Yes.
do anything for fame, fashion, form, or show. I just want to treat people right. I want to help them grow. um, I want to pass on information that I get to others. And God has just blessed me immensely. And He's shown me favor, Crystal, ever since I was a little boy to a rusty, dusty, crusty old man. That's why my radio station is called Favor in honor of my late mother, who you mentioned. She was the one that helped me to get a professional career that I've never looked back since 1984. And in her memory, I wanted to launch the station. So I launched the station on the day that she passed.
Oh wow. I didn't know. You did it on the day she passed, Jerry? Wow.
Well, 2 years later, she passed September 5th,
Got
2018, 2020, September 5th. I launched the station. The
yes.
doctors, or the people at the home that she was in, because she needed 24-hour care, they told us that she passed away at 5:55 a.m. on September 5th. So I launched the station on September 5th, 2020 at 5:55 a.m. That's
Wow.
when I pushed the
You know
button
what? Wow.
to start
Wow.
the
That
live.
what a way to honor her.
Yeah.
What a way to honor her. That is so beautiful. And we remember those details of our loved ones when they leave us. We really do. So that's really touching. That's really touching. And to know that you're carrying on her name like that. I know your siblings and everybody else. They know, and that's a beautiful way to bring up her name and to keep her going. We have to do that, guys. When we have a family member to go on, we still need to keep their memory alive. We still need to tell the stories and let people know who that person was. Let them know why they got that nose. Oh, you look like your grandmother. You look like this person. Jerry, I feel for these kids today because everything they do is on the phone. They don't have photo albums. They don't have pictures. I'm like, how you going to show them what people look like? Because everything is a selfie. I'm like, you need to get you a photo album and print those pictures out so you can let people see who their family was and how they came up in the times. So the times have changed and it's really, really something. Well, I thank you so much for sharing that because that is really, really inspiring. So what is some of the negatives, if there was anything about the industry that you didn't like or that you said, you know what, when I start my station, I'm going to make sure I do this because I don't want that to happen. Anything that stands out to you that you want to use and make sure you didn't do and go in that direction?
Right. I would say the thing that I'm so disappointed is that seems like it's not about the music anymore. It's not about community anymore. One of the things I just to be totally transparent, I worked in so many different formats and I admire good music, whether it's Queen, Freddie Mercury, or the Police with Sting, Genesis with Phil Collins. I just love good music. I love music that tells storytelling, and I don't care who it's from. Right now, it seems like the industry just caters to the big names. And there was a time when those big names were no names and they were just starting out. They had gifts, they had talents. And I think that there
That's
are
right.
a lot of artists in all genres that get lost in the sauce who have great gifts, can sing well, and compose and write great songs that just don't get a shot because they're not a household name. That's one of the things
Well, I
probably.
appreciate that. And I'm sure anybody who's listening appreciate that. So remember, you want to contact him and you want to be on his radio. You want to contact him for advertising. You have advertising spaces too,
Yeah.
Jerry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Advertising. And so do you still do it like you said? I remember when we used to do promotions, I would try to do like the drive time, like when people are going to work and when people come up rush hour. There's
Yeah.
certain time, and of course that's peak time, so it's more money. But contact Jerry if you want to get some promotions in, because Favor 97.3 can get it done for you. They can get you your advertising. Do you have any spaces for like interns, anything like that? Do you sometimes allow space, or now because it's internet, there's no room for that?
At this time, I don't, but I plan on doing some training classes. COVID, like I said, has really messed things up. And, right before I was laid off by Radio One, which was in April of 2020, which led me to do everything you mentioned earlier that I did in radio. Everybody for almost 2 years, 2.5 years, it seems like, we're told to stay out of the office, work from home. Um, so, I didn't want to invite anybody. My studio is in my home, and to possibly, and put
Yeah,
the
so you want to be safe.
away,
Yes.
right? But I do plan on doing some broadcasting classes, um, more catered towards, well, they can take the tools on terrestrial radio, but they can do their own podcast, they can do their own internet radio stations because it's all really the same. As I mentioned earlier, the playing field has been leveled now with all these different platforms that people can do and show
Yeah.
their personal skills. But to advertise on my station is really inexpensive. It's only $300 a month. You get 200 commercials, 50 commercials a week. It's $1.50 a commercial.
That's excellent. You
Right.
said $300, 200 commercials. That's
Right.
really
God put it on my heart to just make it affordable for small businesses so that they can have some marketing, um, for their business. What I charge $300 for on a terrestrial AM or FM station is probably about $9,000 a month. Those commercials, you can do the math at 45 or $50 for 200, and that's what it'll cost on like a AM or FM gospel station. On a R&B or a hip hop station, it's going to be even more. So it's, I'm not in it to make millions of dollars. I'm in it to be a blessing to people, and however it works out, it works out. And so far, it's been really, really good.
And I want to say this: if you have a organization, because if you have a cause and you want your cause to advertise, Jerry can help you with that because he served as the chair for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital for the Radio Cares Advisory Board from 2013 to 2018. So if you have a cause and you want somebody who has that experience that can get that job done, contact him because he's your man. The leadership, the experience, the personality, and he's accessible and he wants to help you. Some people, they don't want to help you. You're wasting your time. He's telling you he's here to help you. So once again, if you just came in, you're listening to Jerry Smith, a 37-year veteran in the radio industry, received numerous awards. The last one was in 2021 from our president, the Lifetime Achievement Award by President Joseph Biden Jr. So definitely want to contact Jerry Smith. And Jerry, what do you want people to know about you as we get ready to wrap this up? Because I appreciate your time. I know time is definitely of the essence for you. What is it that you want to be known for? When people say, "I know Jerry Smith," what do you want people to say?
A man of integrity, a God-fearing man who loves people, has a heart for community. Um, when I take my last breath and they send me on out of here with my home going, that's what I hope to be remembered as. You know, I've had so many people that sowed into my life. That's what I call it. When I was a young man to where I am now, and I just want to give back um, on behalf of all of those people. And so that's how I would like people to remember me, as a giver, someone who just has a heart for people and community.
And
And again,
anything that you would like to, anything on your heart that you want to tell the people that I haven't asked you about regarding your past, your present, your future, the industry, your personal life, anything that you would like to share that you want people to know?
yeah, I would like to say life is not easy. Don't ever think that somebody has it easier than you. I don't care how much money they have. Money cannot buy you love, peace, joy, and happiness. It can buy you a lot of things, a lot of experiences, and it can buy you some bad things that could ultimately end your life, cost you your life. But family is key. Family is important. And also, that you are here for a reason. God chose you. There's nobody like you. You're one of a kind. And God put you here for a reason. He put something in your heart that you and He knows about it. And you may have shared it with others, but there's purpose for your life. You're not just here to exist. You're here to do whatever it is that God put you on this planet to do. You're supposed to champion something. So when times are tough, just know that you are a gift from God. And nobody said life would be easy. All the great things that Crystal laid out that I accomplished, none of it has been easy. Zero. My life has not been easy, but God has prospered me. He's blessed me. He's shown me favor. I'll never forget when I met with the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, uh,
Mm,
a Radio One Love getaway at um, Atlantis in the Bahamas. And I'm sitting at the table with the Prime Minister
wow.
of the Bahamas. I'm pinching
Yeah.
myself. And I flew all the way from North Carolina. Someone else flew in from DC. It was two of us. and they said, we'll give you 15 minutes with the prime minister.
Wow.
We ended up spending a full hour with him because he enjoyed our company so much. He insisted that we go to lunch with him. And
Wow.
we were like, okay, that's like telling President Obama, or Joe Biden, no, So we're like, okay, you want us to be with you, we'll go. And then on what he insisted that I have for lunch what was his favorite at the restaurant that they took us to, which was a lobster salad. I've never had one before that, and I've never had one after that, but
Wow.
that was the best salad I ever had in my life.
A lobster salad. That sounds good.
Salad. You know how you have like chicken or beef or whatever? This was lobster. So God has just afforded me the opportunity to travel the world and meet people. As a little boy at 12 years old, God put radio in my heart, and I never knew how great it would be, how vast and wide it would be. So if God put that in your heart, whatever it is, just know that there's a purpose. God will lay out a great plan for you. He'll order your steps. The enemy's going to come in to try to deter
Woo! Say
and
that again.
get you to go down the wrong path and lose focus. I see that all the time. But you just gotta, straight and narrow, press towards the mark, and God's got you. He's not gonna spend a whole lot of time with you because this is a big universe. But he's like I tell people, you're waiting on God, but He's waiting on you. He's already put it in your heart. He laid out the plan. And now He's going on to do other things.
It's
So
predestined. That's it. Say it again. It's predestined. And your gift will make room for you. You just have to believe. You have to believe and stay around positive people like Jerry and people who are going to speak into your life, because the words are powerful. If that man would have said the opposite to Jerry, that could have affected how he thought about himself or whether or not he wanted to pursue his dream. So, that's really, really important too. Jerry, I just want to thank you so much because you just blessed us. And I want to tell you, you have truly been, you've been steadfast and unmovable, but you never changed. You were the same 30 years ago when I met you. And anytime I can bump into you, you've always been the same person. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So many people, they change, money changes them. Their title changes them, they just change for whatever reason, so I appreciate that. And I want to tell you, if you do start doing those unity and community type events or any of those events, remember me because, I still love promotions and entertainment and I can help. I still have access to people. I actually have been meeting people on these social media. So like comedians, I heard you say you want to do, if you want locals or up and coming rising, I've met quite a few amazing artists, so my background. I don't have to tell you my resume. And so remember that if you want to do those trips, my background in travel. So that I could really be really helpful for you there if you want to do another one of those type of trips. So let's talk, offline about that because of your integrity, because of who you are, any kind of way I can provide a service, I would love it. I would have no question. If you called, I'm gonna pick up the phone. I'm gonna pick up the phone if you call.
thank you. Thank you.
And I just thank you for being who you are and never changing. And thank you for always opening those doors for me when I came to you for the different events over the years. You never said no. Y'all never said no to us. All of those artists that we had, the ones we managed, the groups coming in from the labels. I mean, y'all always did. And if you sometimes needed an opening act, y'all would call us. Hey, you got somebody. So I'm grateful for that. And I would love to do that for, favor the 97.3 as well. Is it 97.3? Yes. So I would love to just say that you are amazing, and I want everybody to know that. So if y'all are looking for a consultant in the industry, please, please, please hit them up. Tell them, hey, look, I saw you, because this is going to be aired. This is airing now on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. It's going to be Instagram. It's going to be on different places, possibly Roku and other places. Tell them you saw him and you're interested. Become correct. Don't waste his time. Do your research, and time is money for people. But when somebody sincerely wants to give it to you, don't mess that up, because I think a lot of people have messed it up for others. And that's why a lot of people don't waste time with newcomers and people, because of other people. One bad apple spoiled it for the whole bunch. So don't be that person. Make a good impression. The first impression is the lasting impression. So please make a good impression. You know. And Jerry, so I would love to give you the opportunity if you would like to make any closing comments. I will give you that opportunity now.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity to be on your platform. Um, You've been a great friend throughout the years, and I mentioned this earlier. You have a great heart for community, and it's an honor to be on your show and to be an associate of yours. I remember you coming on one of the Radio One Love cruises. I was the talent coordinator for that, so that's where the talent coordinating part of my company comes in. I've been doing that for a long time. A lot of people don't know that side of Jerry Smith. So God made me really well rounded, and I've got a picture with you, myself, my daughter, my granddaughter in it from
Really?
one of the cruises. Yeah, I'll have to find it and send
Wow.
it to you. But yeah, my baby girl, Lauren's in it, my oldest daughter, Quintel, and my grandbaby, Amani. She was, I don't know, I don't even think she was a year old, and we were standing somewhere and took a picture together. I
Yeah,
think
if anybody knows me, I'm gonna take a picture. If y'all know anything about Crystal, I'm gonna
but
take a picture. I'm gonna take it. We're gonna have to pick. And Jerry, that's who I am because I've had a lot of losses in my family, so I value those moments. I capture the moments, and that's what I like to do. So,
I'm going to go through my pictures, find them, and then I'll send them to you. But
yes,
yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Um, one last thing I want to say to artists, and then because I'll go on for decades, but artists, you can't expect somebody to not charge you money for
mm,
goods, services, whatever. I tell people my business relies on me bringing in business. The light company, Duke Power is not going to say, hey, Mr. Smith, since you're a nice guy, your bill is $200 this month, but you don't have to give us anything. Or we'll just give us $25. The water
mm,
bill, the mortgage. So you can't really expect people like Crystal, myself, other people to not charge you. And for some reason, because people are up and coming and new, it's almost like they feel like they should be given a break. And if you have a business, nobody's going to give you a break on anything, whatever it is, whether it's car insurance, car payment. Nobody's going to say, well, just because you're a new business, you don't have to pay us what our full charge is. So just think about that. Try to
yes,
find sponsors,
yes,
advertisers, investors, because in order to be successful in the music business, you have to have an investment in yourself. Very few people, I can't say nobody. I know Drake was doing a lot of stuff on SoundCloud, and that's kind of how he got discovered. But it's hard that way. You got to find somebody to do marketing promotions, radio promotions. You got to go to different markets to be on their platforms like Unity in the Community Day. So I just wanted to share
yeah.
that.
And I thank you for saying that because they need to know that you get out what you put in. And
Exactly.
if you don't have no skin in the game, then you're not going to put your best effort in anyway.
Exactly.
And yes, there are promotional gigs. Yes, there are some sponsorships, but people have allotted a certain amount, and if you come afterwards, then you might miss that. So the other part that I will add to what Jerry said is, if you're going to ask for that, you might need to, and then you tell me if I'm wrong, Jerry, contact them in the beginning of the year because in the beginning is when they may plan out, okay, we're going to do 5 complimentary sessions a year, and then you might could get in if you get in early, but just be willing to pay because you can't expect somebody to invest in you and you haven't invested in yourself. Because I
Exactly.
mean, how can you? They're gonna meet you. People say now match the energy. Well, they're gonna match your money. They're gonna match how much you invested your time, your energy, in your professionalism, in your image, in your brand, in your product, all of that stuff. So you have to be willing and don't be. I don't want to say cheap, But don't be frugal with that. I mean, because you get out what you put in. You
Exactly.
That's
Well,
it. You do. So
on-
have watched story time, and I just appreciate you, Jerry Smith, and I appreciate everybody who has come through, who will come through, and for the shares, for the likes, subscribe. And my goodness, once again, Jerry, give them your contact information.
yes. JerrySmith03.com. JerrySmith03.com. All my social media information is there, phone number, email address as well. JerrySmith03.com.
And stay tuned because we got some good ones coming up. And if you have a story that you want to tell, contact me because we want to help you get your story out. Without no test, there is no testimony. So we know that some of the stories will be good. Some of them may be, a learning experience that you might want to share that you had. But all stories are valuable. They're valuable because, for us, it might be foresight, or for others, it might be hindsight. But share your story. God bless you all. My name is Crystal Bodie Smith. I'm your Hope Catalyst. My mission is to stir up the gift, instill hope, and save lives. And in doing so, this is one of the ways that I have been afforded the opportunity to be a catalyst for you and you. So have a blessed evening, everybody, and subscribe. When you come here, if you're not subscribing, find that button and subscribe, and go subscribe to Favor 97.3. Follow Jerry Smith. Follow me at Shout Crystal on all platforms and Crystal Bodie Smith. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much. Have a blessed evening, and see y'all on the next story time. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. God bless you.